Hello there. I don't know if you are following these teaching sessions, but we're really fast moving towards the end of the little epistle of Titus, and this has really been a fascinating book. Let me read to you the verse I want to talk to you about today. It says in verse number 14, "Let ours also learn to maintain good works for necessary uses, that they be not unfruitful." Now here's an interesting thing. As Paul is writing to Titus, he's mentioned a lot about good works, and he's really thinking about the responsibility of Christians. And we read there, "Let ours also learn to maintain good works." You could read that with these words, "Let our people learn to devote themselves to good works." Now, that wouldn't be the first time that Paul has mentioned that. In fact, if you've been studying this with me, you would notice that Titus is being reminded a lot of good things as you go through this epistle. He talks in chapter 1 verse 8, and he talks about being a lover of good, or good men. He talks about good works. He talks about a teacher of good things, a pattern of good things, zealous of good works, maintaining good and profitable things. Good works run throughout this letter, because the Christian life is seen in how a Christian behaves. Beliefs are not just for in a church gathering. Beliefs are not just for theoretical discussion. Beliefs are to be lived. When Paul writes to the church in Philippi, he says to the Christians, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." He wants them to be a bright and shining light in a dark world. And I would like you to consider this today as you look with me at this lovely verse, that we have a personal responsibility as Christians to do things that are for the good of God's people, for the good of those who are not saved, and for the honour and pleasure of our God. Paul writes to the Christians in Galatia and he says, "Do good to all men." So the general idea of a Christian testimony should be that we do things that are good for the benefit of others. He says, "Do good unto all men, but especially unto them who are of the household of faith." We have a personal and specific responsibility to do what is good for those who are our fellow believers, but also to do good to all other people as well. We have to have a good testimony. We have to walk honourably. We have to have a good reputation and a good report towards those who are without. Could I ask the question, if you're a Christian, do you stand out in your community? Do I? Am I known for my kindness? Am I known for my care of others? Am I known for my interest in the welfare of others? Do I do good for the welfare and the good of other people? That's really important. He says, "Let ours also learn to maintain." In other words, what he's saying here is that we have to, it's a process, it's a development, it's a learning. We have to learn. It's to be developed in our lives. And we've got to apply ourselves to this. This is not going to come easily, even for Christians. And we have to devote ourselves. It's going to take time and effort and money, and it's going to cost something to devote ourselves to good works. We have to help people with urgent needs, necessary uses, things that they really need. So to care for the homeless and the poor and children and people who are needing care, and children who, in circumstances where maybe you would foster or you would adopt, and to put yourself out for others. He says, let us learn to devote ourselves to good works and to help cases of urgent need and not to be unfruitful. The Christian life should be the evidence of the fruit of God in the life of a Christian. Christian life should be the evidence of God working in the experience of a Christian. Oh, I do pray that as we consider this truth in Titus 3:14, that it might thrill our souls that God saves, He changes, He blesses men and women. But through us, He blesses the world. We are the witness of God to the world. We are the voice of God in the world. We are the evidence of the grace of God to a world. We trust that God will bless us as we seek to live these things out in our experience today. May God richly bless you. Thank you for listening.